What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another rDNA podcast. The R is for keeping it real. Oh my goodness! If you're watching the video format of this, you're in for a treat. We got Rob looking at the ceiling. We got special guest Amy peeking in. We have Vega. Yeah, we have Vega. Oh my goodness. What's up, Trevor? What's up, Thunder? This is the rDNA podcast. R, because we keep it real, REEL. And we're here with iRob and not Vega. We're here with Wicked, a.k.a. Herman. What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
So, your commitment to character, man. If you guys are listening to this, do check out our video versions of these podcasts. We archive all of these on youtube.com/doseofnerdacumen. Man, because Herman, man. What is going on?
Like dressing like your favorite character in the game while you're reviewing the movie.
Hey, no, nothing wrong with that. I was actually mentioning while watching this because I basically, I don't want to say forced because that sounds bad, but I heavily encouraged that Lana watched this with me when I rewatched it for the first time in years because she had never seen this movie. So I said it was one of those things that you should probably watch if you've never seen. And that's why we're here talking about it, because we should talk about a movie like this. Bullet says the carnival of screams have invaded a stream. It rhymes. I like that. So welcome, everyone, though, to the rDNA podcast. Tonight, if you didn't know already, we are reviewing and discussing Street Fighter, the movie. Whose suggestion was this again? Was it?
I think we all kind of just agreed on it.
Was it a mutual, like, this is the next one we had to do? So there is a poll right now that each of us picked. For the next one, we each added one. So there's 3 to choose from on an active poll. I'm not going to say who picked what, because I don't want to let that influence any decisions from our listeners or viewers. But if you haven't checked it out yet and you're listening or watching this, jump on over to Dose of Nerd Acumen on Facebook. There is an active poll to pick one of the 3 for the next one. Suggestion from chat right now says, I hope you do a Scorpion's Revenge review stream. That is on the list of things to come for sure. When we get to that, though, that's the biggest question. But guys, let's talk about Street Fighter the movie. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
your energy right now is really amping me up for how excited we seem to be talking about this movie tonight.
Oh, I'm excited about it. This was a good one.
I'm feeling that energy.
And kind of like you, Trev, the rest of the family didn't get a choice. Amy and both of the kids got to watch this movie with me last night. So
now you feel it was age appropriate for the kids to watch?
it's fine for Emmy, but
Herman
Frankie,
says,
he doesn't really look at anything. He's only like 15 months old. So
yeah, my 2-year-old watched with us because he refused to go to bed that night. So, but my oldest really wanted to watch it and he didn't. Bullet in chat says, I just finished watching Street Fighter the movie. So Bullet, let's see if you agree on our thoughts. Let's talk about this 1994 action film called Street Fighter, written and directed by Stephen E. De Souza, based on the Japanese video game series of the same name by Capcom. It was distributed by Universal Pictures and Columbia internationally, and it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Juliá, along with supporting performances by Byron Mann, Damian Chapa, Kylie Minogue, Ming-Na, and Wes Studi. I'm sure I butchered some of those names, but hey, that's what we do here. And
you got Kylie Minogue right, so that's all that matters.
That's all. We got one right.
Care about.
Holy crap, what an interesting cast before we dive into the plot. Like,
Pretty all over the place.
I mean, what are your guys' initial reactions on that cast?
Is this when Kylie Minogue was trying to become an actress?
Well, didn't she do this before having mainstream music success, though?
No. She had a hit in the 80s.
Did she really? And then the comeback was later then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about her career. I know she was an artist, if you will. So, Batman says no.
And she had that one song and now that I want to think about it, I'm drawing a blank. But I just remember that's like my trivia knowledge. She had her one song in the 80s and then had her big comeback when, we were in high school, so still a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name too. Do you remember?
I'll let you guys have this music page.
Yeah, I can't say it's one that I jammed out a lot to. Here's Herman with the notes. I like it. This is actually one I didn't take notes on. iRub has notes too. I didn't take notes on this one because I didn't know really what to say. I really wanted to react off your guys' opinions. But yeah, as far as casting though, this is. Go ahead.
Yeah, my only thing for any of the casting is how do you take the guy with a giant accent and he's supposed to be the most American?
Where is Jean-Claude from?
Brussels.
Do we know that, or are you guessing?
His nickname is the Muscles from Brussels, so I'm guessing that's where he's from.
Okay. I've seen plenty of his films, but honestly, I've never deep dived into caring and knowing about him as an individual. Not to say that as like an insult. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. You got, one note kind of actor. And we'll dive more into that as we review it. But yeah, if you're casting Guile, who he played, for those that don't know, like iRob said, he's the American military guy who's like UA? Is that what they're called, the UA?
The UN, right?
Well, is it the UN or UA? AN.
AN?
AN, there we go. AN.
AN.
See, that's why we take notes. He's part of the AN, the Allied something.
Nations, I think.
Yes, Allied Nations.
That's literally all they're the Allied Nations in this movie.
So, I mean, I guess that works then for his character, kinda. It's not really like the video game version.
They didn't do his hair.
No,
it's disappointing part.
How would you do that hair, though?
Oh, you could find a way.
I mean, I guess that's true. Wayne Static had, incredible stand-up hair. So
even if it was just like some form of a flat top where they like tried it, I'd be happier than just nothing.
Yeah, they didn't even attempt it. Batman says he's from Belgium. Bullet says Stallone would suit Guile more than Van Damme. Stallone would be interesting as Guile.
He'd have to dye his hair blonde, and that would be weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, if I were to cast this film, I don't know who I would place in that role.
Well, whoever they got to play Zangief, that was pretty accurate.
Zangief was really good, yes.
Zangief was awesome.
So a little bit of a fun fact on the casting. They spent their budget pretty much on the two main. So Bison and Guile were the big money actors. I mean, go figure. It was also, I believe, one of the last movies, if not the last movie, of Raul Juliá.
It was his last movie, and he was like super sick the whole time, and he did as much of those fight scenes as he could.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did notice that the first credit is a memorial to Raul.
It was
at the end of the movie.
So did he die then? I guess pass. There's no good way of wording that. Did he?
I think it was shortly after filming ended, like it was before the movie was even released.
Which makes sense why they were able to throw that in the credits, unless that was added on the release of it. But it looked like it was done theatrically.
Yeah.
So I have the Blu-ray copy of this. I got this at the pawn shop a long time ago. It's pretty beat up, but this is the extreme edition, whatever that means. Comes with the Street Fighter 4 game trailer. But that's how I rewatched this. But yeah, the primary budget was spent on those two. And I have to give a lot of nod and respect to Raul and his portrayal of Bison. His acting is superior, even with a limited character that is Bison, or what they gave him. You know, he did his best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like he had put it all in his all into it, and towards the end of it, you can, if you look at his face, you can kind of see like he was not feeling that great. But
Well, he came
and
back to
Amy,
life, spoiler alert, in the film.
give you some of hers here. She said that it kind of helped portray his crazy because his eyes were kind of sunken in. So when he did the big eyes, it like helped him look crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he was always one, though, too, to have a signature look with his eyes. I mean, even going back to Addams Family, right? He had a look.
Yeah.
He was able to manipulate things, inflections of gesturing with his facial expressions. So that was one of his signature things. He was very expressive. But I'm sure it added to it, too, with him being so incredibly sick. So he died in October 94, and the movie released in 94, is what Trevor says in chat. So there you go. So yeah, December 23rd, 1994 is when it came out in the United States. May of 95 in Japan. Clocks in at 102 minutes, which I felt this movie was pretty lengthy. They could have trimmed out a lot of stuff. And I'll get into it as we describe the plot. Say that again?
It seemed like they already did in some spots. There was like a couple gaps where you didn't get like a story for what had happened in between, like going into the bazaar with all the arms dealers and stuff. There was like no story between Guile getting shot and them guys being in the arms race thing type. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little, but
no, you're good. You're good on that. But no, that's I
think if they cut a lot out,
that feels accurate too, as far as them jumping ahead. It's like, and fast forward, the next day kind of thing.
And I don't know if we brought it up when we did it, but Jean-Claude Van Damme turned down being Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat movie to do this movie.
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about that.
Because he wanted to be like the star, so he picked this movie.
But he would have been as Johnny Cage, though, regardless. Like, he would have been the standout, especially like with that mixed cast. We already talked about that movie, but
they would have made the second movie out of him, I'm sure, and he would have been the star.
Oh, for sure. Trevor says, I enjoyed this movie when I was younger, but I have not seen it in a long time. You should have rewatched it.
Yes.
You really should have. The budget for this was $35 million. And it's considered
Did 30 of it go to Jean-Claude Van Damme?
It probably did. The vast majority of that budget was spent on the talent.
Yep.
So this film is considered commercially successful because it actually ended up grossing at the box office almost $100 million. Which, like, I'm looking back in 94, right? I was 9. Almost 10 when this came out. I did not see this in theaters. I don't even think I had an intrigue in seeing it until it came to home video.
I think the first time I watched it again was in your basement.
It probably was. Trevor says, I have 9+ hours of wrestling to watch each week. Yeah, Trevor, you have a lot of wrestling to watch, which you guys can listen to on the NOW podcast, also available on this channel every week. So check it out. We archive them on Spotify, Google, Apple, plus many others. So that's a lot of content to sift through every week. I don't envy you at all in that regard, Trevor. I am so sorry you have to watch that much wrestling because it's not all good wrestling. But I'll let the pros talk about that on their show every week. Check them out. Let's dive into this plot, though. So in the Southeast Asian nation of, what is it, Shadaloo? Shadaloo.
Which is funny because that's one thing that, just real fast, Shadaloo doesn't exist in the game. Bison and Sagat are part of Shadow Law.
Is it a play on words then?
Yeah.
That's weird. It seems forced, but... So we have a war, a civil war. It's erupted between the forces of drug lord turned General M. Bison and the Allied nations led by Guile. Bison captured several AN relief workers, and via a live two-way radio broadcast demands Guile secure $20 billion ransom in 3 days. Guile refuses and vows to track Bison down and place him on trial for his crimes, but his assistant, Cammy White, is only partially able to pinpoint Bison's location to the River Delta region outside the city. One hostage is Guile's friend, Blanca, which these are characters from the game, which we'll talk about whether they portrayed them accurately or what the, who Bison's ordered to take into his lab for a captive, which he becomes then the signature Blanca. We somewhat know, I guess he somewhat becomes the signature Blanca that we know from the games, which, let me ask that question before we continue. Blanca, is he not Brazilian?
It was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Is he Brazilian in the movie?
I don't think so.
No.
That was one of my notes here. Was he was made not from Brazil, and also in the movie he's supposed to be Guile's BFF.
But how? Why? They don't even accurately build on that.
And also, Chun-Li, they gave her a last name as well. Chun-Li Chang. It's like they just picked the generic last name for her.
Yeah, very common. Which I thought was weird too, her portrayal of her character.
I think they just had a lot to throw in. Just a lot more characters.
I will give them that they did try it just to, even if it was bit stuff like DJ, who was a reggae kickboxer in the games, he's a Jamaican computer tech.
Yeah,
in the movie.
Which makes no sense.
So they kept that he was Jamaican, but that's about it.
They basically had the task of, we understand that Street Fighter is a game of some of the greatest fighters around the world competing for that glory, right? That's what Street Fighter, at least what I understood, was the game. But they had the task of good guys and bad guy characters. How do we have them pick sides? And then they got generalized by doing so. They gave them, some of them accurate backgrounds, some of them just, well, you're an assistant to the bad guy then. You're like you said, he's the computer tech. And the guy that plays Blanca is Australian, says Trevor. Cody says, hi Cody. So yeah, his level was in Brazil in the game, right? So maybe he's not Brazilian, but I always associated with him because wherever your level is in the game, you generally are from that region, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be like a wild man from the Brazilian rainforest is his backstory.
Yeah, not a mutant or some project. Maybe a mutant, but I don't know. I don't know, I guess, the backstory. I felt that was just conveniently created as a plot for his character.
You can find them, because I remember reading them in one of the Street Fighter games. They gave you, like in the book that came with the game, all of their backstories.
That would have been convenient to have on hand then to do comparisons.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think, like, really the only one closely resembles their character background then is Cammy. Kinda. But was she American? I don't feel she was American, though.
No, she was British. She was British, and she was British in the movie as well.
Okay, so that is then accurate, somewhat. Guile is not.
Her outfit in the movie, not accurate to the video game, and I was slightly disappointed.
It is, as the film goes on, though, is it not?
It gets more accurate, but it is... she's one of the most cosplayed Street Fighter characters because it's very revealing.
Is it now?
Even more so than Chun-Li.
Is Dalsim a doctor in the game as well, or was he?
No, he is a yogi.
That's what I was like.
From Thailand.
Yeah.
Which in the movie, that was one of my other ones here. He's a doctor that's downloading things into Blanca's mind.
Yeah, and if you aren't paying attention to the name drops, you wouldn't even have picked that up as being who that was. Like, it's so just thrown in there. Like, people liked this character. You're that character. Yeah, that makes sense. It didn't make sense.
Vega was accurate, though.
Vega, yes. Go on.
And I didn't like Sagat in the movie because he's just an old, like, they took just an old guy, said, "You're a gangster, wear this eye patch." There you go.
He had the look, though.
And what was the Iron Fist drop? Was that supposed to go somewhere, like, later on? Did that have anything to do with, you know...
What is that?
No, I think that was just supposed to go back to his backstory where he was supposed to be the champion.
Yeah.
Like, when the first Street Fighter 2 came out, he was the defending champion.
Gotcha.
But...
Because did that relate to Final Fight? Because that wasn't in the same world or same realm. Were there crossovers from Street Fighter 1 and then... Was it not Final Fight? Fatal Fury? Or... I'm not as fluent with those other titles, so I don't know. I played Street Fighter more than I played those other ones. So... most notably Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Because there's variants of the Street Fighter games too, if anyone knows anything about that.
And like you said, 9 years old, mashing buttons, playing video games. So.
And that's just it too. Like
one of those first ones.
Yeah, and it was number 2 that I played on the Super Nintendo. So like, I'm more fluent now with these characters just because a lot of them continued on in future games, and just because I'm more knowledgeable on the franchise. But back then, I mean, no. So Bison orders Blanca to be taken to the lab, Dalsim to turn him into a super soldier. Blanca is severely disfigured by the procedure, and he's stuck there in their facility. We're then introduced to American con artists. Correct me on pronunciation here. Ryu? I've heard it said both ways.
I've always said Ryu.
Said Ryu, but if you watch anything like the manga and everything, they say Ryu, so I don't know.
Okay, I've always said Ryu, but then in the film it said Ryu. And I've heard people say Ryu.
That's because it was an American saying it.
That makes sense. Trevor says, I think they have like 100 variations of Street Fighter 2, Turbo Edition, Ultra Edition, Mega Edition, Basic Edition, COVID Edition. That's not one of the editions. It might be now. This is the COVID edition of our review. So there you have it. So we're introduced to Ryu and Ken. What's up, MX in chat? These two were characters that I frequently played as when I played the game. I think they're two of the favorites.
Ken.
Were you? Okay. Why?
Yes.
Why?
He has the same moves as Ryu, but like his are always amped up more because he's supposed to be flashier.
What does he say when he does his moves? Do you know what he says?
The same thing as Ryu.
Nah, safe answer. He doesn't want to say it. Sonic Boom. That's not what he says, though. All the fighters stay home and don't train. That was Guile. That was very much Guile. Did he say Sonic Boom in the movie?
No, and he didn't do it at all.
Oh, this movie officially sucks then.
He did the backflip kick once.
He did. Which was cool. Which was super cool. Let's talk about that while we're talking about fighting before we continue with the plot. My biggest issue with this film, it's called Street Fighter. It's based on a fighting game.
There's no street fights.
Well, there's no street fights. There is almost no fighting in this game. Or this movie, excuse me, from the game that's based on fighting. Every time we get to a situation, especially when we're in a cage fight, when we're introduced to Vega, which again, compliments to Vega, looked incredible. That arena they were in, like if you played Street Fighter 2, so good. They're about to fight in a death match, basically, and then Guile knocks the wall down with his little
tank.
His tank.
The top of my page says, lots of streets, not a lot of fighting. Is what the top of my sheet says.
Like, what the heck?
And when you
I
get
don't
there,
know.
there was one scene that was actually, the cage was set up, but where they actually fight, and you'll get there, but at the end when Bison and Guile square off, it actually looks like a scene because they're on like a bridge where it's just them two and they're gonna fight.
But then they don't.
It's the one time in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's got that wide shot of them facing off against each other. Like, I'm like, okay, you get it. You understand for a moment. But what happened with the rest of the film? And Cody says, but Van Damme.
They got Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's what happened.
Yep.
But he can fight. He's a stunt artist. Like, what the heck? How did you not?
You think two kids? No.
So we're introduced to Ryu and Ken, who attempt to swindle arms dealer Sagat by providing him with fake weaponry. Sagat sees through the ruse and has Ryu fight his cage champion, which we were just talking about, Vega. Again, compliments to that sequence. Great build-up, utter disappointment. Guile bursts in, as we said, and arrests everyone for violating a curfew. They're then sent to prison. And like, I felt like this was the common narrative of the movie, too. We'd go to a place, they'd get caught and escorted here. We'd go to a place, they'd get escorted here. They'd go to, like, it was a continued, like, looping of events. So it became problematic very quickly to further the plot. Guile bursts in. We said that Guile witnessed Ryu and Ken fighting Sagat's men and recruits them to help him find Bison in exchange for their freedom. Convenient much?
Yeah. Very.
So that was weird. But I guess it works. They're given a homing device and win Sagat's trust by staging a prison escape and faking Guile's death. That was weird, too.
Well, he had to make his statement come true. You can only leave over my dead body. So.
And he was dead. Quote.
Had to
You
make
can't
it
see
happen.
the air quotes there, but I was doing it. News reporter.
Bring in the other.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Another just random throw in. The other person the group of three that goes with Guile and Cammy is just referred to as T-Hawk.
Yeah, and he gets like a little nod at the end of the movie too with his
because he has his Cherokee headband.
And that's it. He doesn't actually look the part, which T-Hawk is actually a pretty phenomenal character in the series. So that was weird. Again, it's like, people are going to be mad if we don't include these characters, so you're T-Hawk, okay? Got it, boss. That's not what he sounds like. Just don't speak. Here, wear this headband. Okay. That's literally how I feel it was all put together. In an afternoon, you're like, and you're T-Hawk. He's in this movie. Great. Thanks for the paycheck. So we're going to go... We'll say that again.
It was a reshoot.
You know, it might have been, too. Because it felt literally just plopped in there. News reporter Chun-Li, whose father was killed by Bison, and her crew, sumo wrestler Edmund Honda and boxer Balrog. How convenient that these three are together, too, when Balrog is a Vegas boxer, right? Mm-hmm. E. Honda, sumo wrestler.
They changed his backstory.
Yes.
He is a sumo, but in the movie they say he's from Hawaii.
Right, which, I guess. So is he Japanese then, or is he Samoan?
He's supposed to be a Japanese sumo.
Right.
When you see him in the game, he's a Japanese sumo, and even the art, I believe, on the backgrounds when you get to his level.
Which is in Japan in a bathhouse, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That confused me. Because I'm like, you're very much not a sumo, but they give him the nod of being a sumo. It was just strange. Like, I'm disappointed. Because, like, wouldn't it have been phenomenal? And I know even Yokozuna's a Samoan. He's not actually Japanese either. But still, wouldn't it have been more fun to have, like, Yokozuna in this role?
A bigger actual, like, sumo wrestler, not actor wannabe would have been nice.
And he wasn't a bad actor. Like, his fight with Zangief later on in the film was actually one of the most fun sequences. Most notably when he dove off at him. I'm like, hey, there's action in this movie, not just people shooting and running. Like, this is cool.
Speaking of action, while they're coming up here, Chun-Li does an awesome unnecessary front roll to get a tracker on a truck.
It's for the
If
extra
you
little.
remember this.
And nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen it.
Like, yeah, nobody saw her throw it at all. She's jumped out next to a truck, throws it, and then stops and does a front roll. Like, it's
just normal.
not part of what it was. Just, hey, you're an actress that knows how to do stunts. How about you just do a front roll here? That's what happened. There wasn't.
You're not gonna fight at all. We're just gonna have you roll around. So you got to do a nice one right in front of the camera.
It worked, kinda.
Sorry, that was my unnecessary into the movie.
I mean, it obviously had to further a plot and the little things they do in there. I think it's one of those situations where, like, yes, this makes sense because video games, right? That's the only defense that you can have.
And the 90s.
90s.
Did we get to the Bisonopolis yet?
No. We're now at Chun-Li, E. Honda, Balrog, who are out for revenge against Sagat for ruining their careers. They stumble across the plan and Guile's objections. They attempt to assassinate the two warlords at a party. And to maintain the Bison's trust, Ryu and Ken stop the assassination and reel the conspirators to Bison. This was a weird sequence too, because from my understanding in the games, they were able to split up Ryu and Ken and plot them against each other. And I always thought that one of them was bad anyways in the games and one was good. That was just kind of like the story that I was either told or I made up when playing these. You know how, like, playground talk goes with games with a minimal story. You start to create or like craft your own around these characters if it's not there. That was always the story I had. I mean, is that accurate or?
Just with
So
the different
usually in
colors,
any-
yes. I just assumed.
Yeah, but and also then in everything they've ever done for side stories, they're always partnered together. Like they did in this movie where Ryu is like the straightforward guy. Ken's always a little bit not as good, if you want to say that, but they're always like partners.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt it was like a clever way to get them split apart, even for a moment, for when everyone was facing off at that party.
Like you said earlier, they're very wishy-washy and back and forth, those two. That was a crazy part of the movie.
And I'm disappointed too, because like I felt these two should have had better action as well, being their fighting backgrounds. I mean, when they get introduced and get the trust of the bad guys, if you will, they're in this training facility, and they're wearing their signature gis and their black belts. Like literally everyone in there is a black belt. I don't know if you noticed that.
And the other funny part was the actor who plays Ryu has a six-pack, so they had to make sure to take his shirt off as much as physically possible in the movie.
Well, duh. I mean, it's yeah. It'd be sexist not to.
It just seemed unnecessary. Like they didn't serve
Whoa,
anything
whoa, whoa,
other
whoa.
than.
You're speaking on unnecessary. How many films we got to see topless women, but we're gonna shun some six-pack abs on a man? How many
Would've been better
sequences?
if there were 8.
Oh, Elk, you say it's not good enough. His abs weren't good enough. He should have had better abs.
It would have
Jeez.
been better if there were 8.
Good Lord. We got a frozen IROB here. He's just stuck in this weird smirk. Are you seeing this? It's wonderful. Way to have him freeze. That's a good look for you, IROB. I like it. Look at that. He's all quiet. He's just smiling.
He just loves it.
He just loves it. We talked about women topless, and he's just quiet now.
Big smile.
Well, we'll let him figure out his technical issue, and we'll continue on with the plot here. If you can hear us, Rob. Hop out, hop back in, man. Returning to his base, Bison inducts Ryu and Ken into his organization and orders Honda and Balrog imprisoned and Chun-Li taken to his quarters. Of course, they were all captured during that little skirmish at the club. Ryu and Ken break Balrog and Honda out of confinement and rush to confront Bison, who is fighting Chun-Li. But Bison escapes and releases sleeping gas. So again, another sequence where we could have had a fun fight, but it was like a weird TV show where everyone just kind of clustered together conveniently in this like lounge, which that was a weird sequence too, where Bison was getting extra comfortable.
Well, yeah, and all of it was just, it adds the point I was going to make in earlier, PG-13 with all the stuff going on. And like you said, the Chun-Li thing in the bedroom and working their way out to that. And now we're gassing people. It just seems like a very out there movie for a PG-13.
Oh, it was incredible. The unnecessary or unneeded innuendos. Rob just messaged me. He said, "Did I drop?" Yes, sir, you did, if you can hear us. Hop out and back in. So we'll let him figure that out. We'll continue on. Well, he'll hop back in. That'll fix itself. Maybe. I can still see your head, so we're okay. So Guile plans his assault on Bison's base. He is impeded by the deputy secretary of the AN, who informs Guile that the decision has been made to pay Bison the ransom. Why would you give in to terrorist threats?
Oh, I didn't understand that part. Like, was this like just a chance to get Jean-Claude Van Damme a chance to speak for longer than 20 seconds in the show or in the movie? That's what it seemed like.
His speech, like, what was, I fell off so hard during his speech. Did you feel inspired?
Yes, I want to go kick someone's ass.
I did not feel inspired by his speech. This is not Rocky, because I know we said Stallone earlier. I don't feel inspired. Or, personally, I don't think Jean-Claude is badass. I think he's a great stuntman and martial artist. But that's not shown here. And definitely don't... Go ahead.
They wanted that got that one scene from Bloodsport, and they just wanted it to stick in everybody's head for 10, 20 years before they let him go.
But why? But why? I think this was the downfall of the film. The lowest point was his speech. And the terrible shots of the extras that they had cast in the military. Because the reactions that they used, they looked more confused than we did watching the movie.
Yeah. It was like shot here, shot here, shot here, and they're all like, huh? What are we supposed to do?
Trevor says Van Damme was amazing in Bloodsport. We're not saying he wasn't. We're saying, like,
amazing.
This was
the
not
movies
that.
where he can be like an action guy and not try to talk so much. He's great.
Yes. And we have audio from iRob. We don't have your video. So if anyone's watching this back, it's thinking still. We can hear you again, which is great. So
I can see myself.
Can you? Well, I mean, that's a good thing, I guess. All right, so Guile, they're going to proceed with the mission. At the base, Dulcian is found out by a security guard during the ensuing fight. Charlie is released, a.k.a. Blanca. And and he kills the guard to protect Dawson. Guile arrives and sneaks into the lab, which they jump over here in the plot notes. This scene, and you already probably know what I'm talking about, the boat sequence when they rally everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. They're monitoring their fortress, which has rivers, going up to it. And they're conveniently getting alert that all their guard towers are getting taken down. Why is no one, even though I'm sure it's like radar jamming or whatever stealth thing this boat is, it works for planes because it's in the air. It could possibly work for submarines because it's underwater. But it's a boat literally causing waves in the water, but it's not there. It's stealth. You're not alarmed by random waves down the river?
Did you the video where they're like, we can't see the boat, but you can see all the waves from the boat going through the water?
Right. What the heck?
And another part of that too is none of the other boats got hit by any fire, or we didn't see it.
How far back were those
all of
other
it
boats?
They were going up the other river. Like there was the two rivers, and one of them was going one way, and the other were going the other way. And then they fired all their power onto the stealth boat, and the other boats are just on their merry way. So
It was this part of the film is really where it killed me for being an acceptable film. I can understand plot holes, I can understand, but like this is something I can't overlook. Like nobody thought that was a bad idea.
I thought it was a great idea.
You thought it was a great idea?
No, they thought it was a great idea.
Like,
stealth boats.
Stealth boats. Like everything was stealth in the 90s. Wasn't there like a...
Was it the new thing in the army was a stealth boat?
Well, there's Broken Arrow. You remember that? That was all about stealth. Wasn't there a movie called Stealth? He's drinking
like
here.
Jessica Biel and someone else in like an F9 fighter or something like that.
So yeah, stealth was all the rage back then. The trailer was good. The short one says Batman. So I mean, yeah, I guess stealth was the thing, right? I remember as a kid, like, and Rob, you probably remember this too. What was the car I wanted?
A Dodge Stealth.
A Dodge Stealth. So yeah, stealth was like one of those buzzwords. It sounded cool. It's like, ooh, sneaky, stealthy. Yikes. So Guile arrives and sneaks into the lab where he encounters Blanca. Guile prepares to shoot him and end his suffering. Some friend.
Like instantly, it was no like remorse or anything. He's like, you know what you got to do. Like, he was about to do it. The doctor didn't stop him. It was like done for.
Like, my friend, I haven't seen you. You've been through horrible torture. I'm not even going to figure out if we can fix this or if you're just okay. No, we're just going to end you.
You're done.
Some friend. Like
And then all for nothing because the doctor and Blanca end up staying there when things happen later.
Yes. Yeah. Dhalsim stops him. Bison prepares to kill the hostages by unleashing Blanca on them, but Guile emerges and engages Bison's guards. You know, I thought this was a clever way to get him to go up and fight. Like, I'll give them that for this part.
It was.
So.
Did you talk about my favorite quote from this entire movie? From the interview with Chun-Li?
No.
The interview?
Go ahead.
Because, she goes into her big story of why she hates Bison because he killed her whole family, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, the day that you were graced by Bison is the biggest thing in your life. For me, it was merely Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's funny, too. I meant to take that snippet, and I was going to send that to Herman to mix that in with the Street Fighter logo that he did at the beginning of this and have, like, a voiceover. you watched Street Fighter the movie, but for us it was merely a Tuesday or something. Have it like edited in for that. I'd forgotten to do that. Damn busy life. But no, that is a great quote. I'm glad you brought that one up because that is a standout because of how like menacing that is.
Raul Juliá did a definitely damn good job at being menacing during this movie.
He did, and major props for making a character more interesting than it probably could have been or should have been.
Oh yeah. And then just another little part because it's actually where we're at in the movie. The minefield that eventually does do damage to the boat that they were coming up. It was literally an arcade console was how he was controlling the minefield.
I was gonna say that.
I saw that too, and that I felt was a clever respect to what this is, a fighting game. It was a control deck, one of the actual fighting decks that people still use to this day in tournaments. So it was just like a big one on his little machine thing. But yeah, that was a good nod.
That was kind of...
Yeah, I liked that. There's a nice nod. So Guile emerges and engages with Bison's guard until the remaining AN forces arrive. After Bison makes it clear that he will not surrender peacefully, Guile orders his allies to rescue the hostages and engages Bison in a personal duel. So this is that sequence we talked about that we're finally going to get a street fight from these street fighters. And it's okay.
But before that, so these people that have been locked in this hole for almost 3 days, they get thrown. I didn't get to say this at the beginning, but they were getting thrown into that hole, and it seemed like it was like 10 to 15 feet down to the bottom. So and then when they walked out and they saved them, everyone seemed to be all spunky, spry, and ready to get out, and not malnourished, not hurt, no broken bones from falling 10 feet, and they were all older people. So it was what's going on here?
Yeah, they're all
funny
fine.
because at one point earlier when they're showing you them, they're all like, "We're so tired and this sucks," while they're in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they got
But then all of a
adrenaline.
sudden, they all gave them a double shot before they came out, like the Starbucks. Quick, get a can.
Adrenaline. Bison had it on hand. Literally on
Probably
him.
did. And DNA mutanogen.
Yeah, they're conveniently labeled bags. Where do you find that stuff?
That was awesome.
Why is that a thing in movies? Evil mutagen juice. Do not, what? That is not a thing.
Yeah, the IV bag literally says DNA mutanogen. That's not what something's going to be called that they're using.
You just go get that from your local grocer,
We gotta get this.
And they had to be neon green and orange too.
Well, of course. Oh my goodness. So we get the fight that we've been wanting this whole movie. It's okay. We get the one thing that I was asking for, and it was the flying punches across the screen that Bison is known for. One of the most unavoidable attacks in the Street Fighter game. We got it. It was through the use of jetpack boots?
Oh, electromagnetism.
That's right. He did mention that because that's how everything was powered.
But yeah, and we did. This is the fight where you do get to see Van Damme does the.
Ew.
Which is a Guile move from the game.
Yeah.
The backflip kick Guile move from the game. He does do that.
I enjoyed that. I thought that was nice. So there were moments.
It was a good.
And then the
sequence.
only part that was a little cliche was the final blow is the Van Damme split kick.
Yeah, but that's one of his signature things, though. People.
I get it. But
they're going to the movie to see him and see that. If they don't put that in there,
30 million. We need the split kick.
Yeah, they paid $30 million for that kick. So they fight. Ryu and Ken defeat Sagat and Vega. Bison's computer expert DJ flees through a secret passage. Joined by Sagat, while Bison's bodyguard Zangief engages with Honda, which again we said earlier, that was a decent fight. Until learning DJ that Bison was the true enemy and sides with Ryu and Ken, and then suddenly saves the hostages. So we had a coming to heart moment ish, like they like.
You got paid?
Right. Why would you be there if you weren't getting paid? How do you survive? And who cut your hair then? Like, it's not free. Maybe it is, but oh my goodness. Guile gains the upper hand against Bison and kicks him into a bank of hard drives, electrocuting him. But wait. A revival system restores Bison and reveals that his suit is powered by, Wicked, you said it, electromagnetism.
Electromagnetism.
So he can now fly and fire electricity. Wow. That works. That scared the shit out of me. 1,000 bits for the scare. That is effective. I forgot I enabled those. You got a jump now on video. You're welcome. Good God. Everyone just shit their pants too.
We'll have to save that for all time, just because.
You got me. That's one of the rare jumps. Holy crap. I hope it was worth 1,000 bits. So we introduced a new system before we continue with the plot here. We introduced a new thing. Next to Strand Redemptions, you can now... It got Batman 2 in chat, he said. So next to the Strand Redemptions, there's a soundboard that you guys can choose from over 30 sound bites. The Scream is one of them. There are a few mixed in. There are some fun ones, like upbeat ones. There's just a huge variety. If you guys are ever curious to see what's in there, they range in cost and they range in fun, as that one was very effective. Damn you, Cody. Holy hell. Anyways, back to the plot. Where was I? That was so loud. Did you guys hear that?
I did not get it.
Through your mic.
Jesus. I'm sorry, listeners. The people listening to this podcast back be like, what the hell? This is what you get on the DNA channel. You're welcome.
Worth 1,000. Worth 1,000.
Cody's so happy. I'm pleased that you're pleased, because this is what you can learn to expect on the DNA Twitch channel, is expect the unexpected like that, especially when Cody's around. Good Lord. Anyways, Guile counters by kicking Bison into his monitor wall, finishing him off and overloading the base's energy field. The hostages are rescued, but Guile stays behind to convince Dalsim and Charlie, aka Blanca, to return with him. They refuse, with Dalsim wishing to atone for his part in mutating Blanca. Guile flees the exploding base, and while everyone else thinks he didn't make it, he comes out of the explosion just fine, and he's, his normal, hey.
No scratches, no nothing.
He's all happy, and then he's even, like, hitting on her.
Oiled up, and muscles.
They had their little innuendo exchange at the end.
And you're almost to one of the greatest parts of the entire movie.
Oh, go. What is it?
Oh, you're kind of there.
Okay.
At the end, they all randomly just go into a fight pose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's like the pose, though, from the end of the game when you beat the game, though, right?
Yeah, like it's all, and they actually did a good job with most of the characters at like their end of the fight pose. They got most of them to do something that's at least similar to that, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, it's a video game movie in 1994. Like, how did you want them to end it? Like, that's a nice nod.
No, like I said, I like that. It was just kind of, like, it's random, but I like it at the same time. Like, it...
Yeah. But wait. There's more. I didn't realize this was, like, a thing in movies until the Marvel movies. I know it was a thing Do the sound alerts go towards the incentive? That's a great question, Cody. I'll have to see if that's tracked or not. Did it go? I don't think it went up when you did the... yeah, I don't think it moves, so then no. So I guess that's an option. We could talk about that, Cody. We could figure something out. So I didn't think this was a thing until the Mario. I knew it existed. It was in Mario. The post-credit scene is what I'm getting to. Did you guys watch the post-credit scene?
No.
No, I forgot it was there.
Oh no! There's a post-credit scene.
Whoa.
Okay. Bison is revived once again amidst his ruined command center to reattempt what they have on there, world conquest. So they teased a sequel.
Wow.
You couldn't do a sequel without Raul, though. It wouldn't have. No.
No. Because, like I said to Travis earlier, which I didn't get into a lot, but it was a Bison movie. Like if you like, I think if you add the minutes together, I didn't go through and do it, but there's a lot of Bison and a lot of Raul Julia in there. So it's a lot of bad guy wanting to take over the world type stuff. So
he's the.
You can't blame him because he was pretty magnificent, though. So
he's the better actor out of the bunch, though. Like it's fitting that you give him the most screen time.
Well, you have the better actor do the most screen time and your fighter not fight. It seemed like the right thing to do.
But
I feel like that statement's half correct.
In all honesty, though, they think Batman says they think they kind of knew it was his last movie too. So here's the thing: is it more interesting to give the hero more screen time or the villain more screen time?
I think it can work both ways. This one, with who they had to work with, villain 100%.
Yes. Personally, in my preference, go ahead, Herman.
Wouldn't that be cool if they made 2 movies for every superhero movie? Like one where the supervillain ends up taking over and one where the superhero takes out and wins?
Like Infinity War and Endgame?
Kind of, but like, let's say Doctor Doom ends up killing the whole Fantastic Four in one. It's like a what if type situation. But
I mean, I'd find it fascinating. Personally, for me, my preference is I like the stories of villains better than I do heroes. If we're talking about comic book stuff, right? Because generally, origin stories of heroes aren't as interesting as some of the villains. Like Batman is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. His story isn't really that intriguing when you think about it and you just boil it down. Okay, you're a kid who went through some shit. You're a millionaire, but your parents were murdered, and you have this inheritance. Billionaires.
But is that because we know that and we've known that for years? Like
no, but really, when you boil that down, is that interesting?
I mean, it was when we seen the Mike movie. I mean,
it's interesting enough for a character to be mad out of it. But
well, the fact that, I think to me what would make it interesting is he chose to be the vigilante and go after, instead of just be like, I'm a billionaire, I can do whatever else I want.
I mean, sure, that's, his motivation, which is why we have him as a character. But personally, I just think villains have a more interesting story or a story arc and a background to fill in. There's usually a bigger motivation, and then you always have that question. We'll use Thanos as an example here since we brought up Infinity War Endgame. Thanos is so intriguing with his backstory because you had a moment, at least I did, where you're like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, if we got rid of 50% of something, it might not be half bad. Get it? Pun intended. Half bad.
I think that's part of what makes better villains, though, is if what they're doing actually kind of makes sense. Like, it's wrong, so you could never would think that it's a okay thing to do, but like it kind of makes sense.
Well, yeah, because if you think about that kind of thing, we're here on Earth, and he obviously knows the whole universe. So he obviously knows something more than what we would know on why something like that should happen. Like,
He's seen it. He's seen what happens if it doesn't happen. Let's bring it back now to Street Fighter. Can we empathize with Bison, with his backstory, with what he's trying to do here?
no, because he's kind of like Hitler at that point. If and like to the point of conquering the world and making
They
your
did do
own...
his story where he says he wants to conquer the world to bring peace, so there's no more war. He wants to just be everyone bows to him and there's no more war.
That's Hitler, dude.
Yeah, like the whole Chun-Li scene that you talked about was the same exact thing. It's like it was just another Tuesday. That's the precipice of that right there.
Trevor says, I think we could get rid of more than 50% of people and it wouldn't be bad. Damn. See, Trevor is a villain. That's why he is part of Villain Club. So he's not playing a character, guys. I'm just kidding. But here's the thing, like, and was it Bison Bucks? Was that really, or was they just making fun of it? Or was that really what it was called? So he wanted to create his own currency.
Yep, he had a plan where he was going to kidnap the queen, and until they put the exchange rate where each bison buck was worth 5 British pounds, that was what, like, he goes into that plan.
Which is funny because you can't fight, but you're going to go in depth on a plan of how you're going to make your own money. Nobody fights, but we're going to go into the banking system of Bisonopolis.
So that's the biggest question of all with all these characters. Then we'll end basically where we began, talking about characters. Are there any relatable or likable characters in this film? The silence here. While you guys think on that, there was a fun fact that I had. Where was it at? I'll let you guys think a little bit more. So the post-credits scene, to elaborate more on that. Bison's computer reactivated from the solar power revival system restores Bison again. He smashes through the rubble. Computer screen is shown world domination replay. The scene was omitted from theatrical release out of deference to Raul Juliá. So another thing there. MPAA gave the first submitted cut of the film an R, which was highly unacceptable for Capcom, who stated from the start it should be PG-13 after various cuts made a G rating. And then it was bumped up to a PG-13 with the addition of an expletive, can't talk, during post-production. So I believe there was a swear.
So they put a swear word in it to get it up to a 13?
Yeah. Which I think the violence with the guns and the blood would bump it to a 13 too.
Yeah, I mean, and the innuendos on top of all that. But I guess,
yeah,
like
but that's
said,
in like Disney movies
94.
too. So, like innuendos, I don't.
It was 94, and we were allowed to go to rated R films when we were 13.
I don't think we were supposed to, but we did.
Well, the theaters let us in, so
it's true. So characters. What do you?
Chun-Li, I mean, karate are more of martial arts and Asian descent, and worked her way. I mean, we didn't get much fighting, so you can't really say, hey, this is where they were in the game, and this is what we've seen them do in the game. I mean, you got a little bit out of Honda at the end where he broke down the wall and he moved his hand really fast for a second.
He did.
It was like, but you didn't get much of their move sets or anything like that. It was more of like, let's push.
Balrog threw a punch.
He had his boxing glove on.
I mean, when you look at Street Fighter compared to Mortal Kombat as like a character set, like I think they had to push in almost double the amount of people into this movie than what Mortal Kombat did on the first Mortal Kombat.
Here's the thing, though.
Did they have to, or did they choose to?
Well, we only know we're gonna get one movie because we had to pay for Jean-Claude Van Damme, so we have to.
They had such, and keep in mind, this came out before Mortal Kombat, the movie. But they had such potential to create a fighting movie here, and they failed. This is an action movie. This is not a fighting movie. And it is about a fighting game. So for me, the likable, relatable, or even characters I got into were none. I could vaguely say I enjoyed the acting for Raul Juliá as Bison, but I didn't love the lack of things they did for his character, the lack of fighting, the lack of set pieces, the lack of variety of stages for the world, stages that we saw in the games. What we did get, the highlighted ones, as I mentioned, Vegas, Bison's command center. I think that's it.
Stealth boat, is that one of your favorites?
Oh God, no. Trevor says Ming-Na Wen was decent as Chun-Li. Yeah, she wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. They were fine, but they didn't get to be these characters. They were named characters after the game, but they didn't get to be these characters.
Yeah, it's like they literally made an action movie, and all they used really from the game was, here's a name, and we'd like them to kind of have the backstory.
It was likeness. It was likeness, copy and paste. That was it.
I want to see then what they cut out from rated R that went down to G, because maybe that was all the fighting. Maybe all the fighting was what made it rated R.
But why would you cut fighting from a fighting game movie? Just risk it
they couldn't
and go.
have it be rated R.
And I know it's about money. You're going to get more people in the theater if it's PG-13 over R, but man, missed opportunity.
Well, what you kind of said, Capcom owned it, and if they said you can't release it if it's rated R, then they can't release it if it's rated R.
I mean, fair. They have a reputation. They want to have a recognizable and not, tarnished brand, and I get that completely with branding. But you still can make a fighting movie PG-13 and have fighting in it. It is possible.
But with the blood from the squibs when they...
We got a raid. What's up, Foxy? We take a break for a raid. That's hype right there.
Yeah.
So welcome, Foxy. Thank you for the raid, everyone. Give them a follow if you don't yet. Welcome them with some love back. Thank you for checking us out. Just a few nerds here talking about Street Fighter the movie. Just kind of chill podcast episode thus far. We're ranting now currently just to catch you up to speed on the characters and how they could have been better or more. Batman says that in itself was better than Street Fighter. Oh, man.
Great.
My final thoughts, if I were to have to say, is basically what Rob said, what we've been saying here. It is an action film where they just copied and pasted likeness from Street Fighter. So, Foxy says, what's wrong, Foxy? Why the sadness? But this, by any means, is not a terrible movie. But it's not great.
No.
I don't even know if it's good.
It's a 90s action movie. If you know that going in, it's, you know.
It's fine, is what I would have to say. It's fine. It's worth watching. It was worth owning from a pawn shop for $2 on Blu-ray. Because I did
I
not.
spent more than that to rent it yesterday to watch it.
Should have let me know, man. It's on Peacock right
On
now. If you have
Peacock.
Peacock, is that how you watched it?
That's how I watched it.
I do not have Peacock, so I lost out.
You should get Peacock. It's only $5 a month or $10 with ads, and then you can watch wrestling. That's not an advertisement, by the way, if anyone asks. So we're not being paid or sponsored yet by Peacock. NBC Universal, hit us up.
On the screen yet.
You're right there, right? Batman says it sure made Mortal Kombat look super great. It sure did. Mortal Kombat the following year in 95 was so much better than this movie. Here's the question. This is our third video game movie review. We're obviously going to continue on. And listeners, check out the poll right now on the DNA Facebook group. Because right now we have an active poll for you to pick one of three, rather, for us to review next.
A very nice poll.
It is a very nice poll. So let us know what you want us to review next. We've each submitted one. We're not going to tell you which ones we submitted each because we don't want anyone to be biased or pick based on who submitted what. We want your genuine feedback on what we should do next. We're going to continue this series until we review every video game related movie we can get our hands on. This might take a while, but I am determined, and I hope you two are, to find the worst video game movie ever made. So the question is, we've done three. Super Mario Brothers the movie, Mortal Kombat from 1995, and now Street Fighter the movie. Is this taking it right now for worst video game movie?
I think I'd say no.
No.
I would rank this one slightly higher than Super Mario Brothers.
Really?
Mortal Kombat is still way better than both of them, though. So that one's safe. Like that one. But
Yeah.
Queen says Mario Brothers.
Right there.
Batman says Mario Brothers. Here's the thing. Trevor says Mario is garbage. I'm tossing it back and forth. Mario and Street Fighter the movie is sitting at the bottom right now for me.
Oh,
I think those two are tied. It depends on the day. But I think those two right now, from the three we've done, those two are the worst. Keep in mind, we've only done three so far. Many more to go. But man,
and we've done 3 mainstream ones. We haven't even gotten to the ones that have,
straight to DVD.
haven't even made it to theaters.
Yeah, the straight to DVD. Cody wants Warcraft. I heard that was a pile of garbage. I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't even.
and that's one where I have seen it and I've never played the game, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. So when we get to it, I can go into more detail for what I thought of the movie. But I had no game, like I'd never really played the game to compare it to.
Oh, we're going to get to that one because I do want to watch it. I did play Warcraft for a little while. So actually with your brother-in-law, Rob, he's the one that convinced me to buy it.
I bet you if they would have made a Diablo movie, they wouldn't have charged anybody to watch it.
Why you say that?
Because they don't charge anybody to play Diablo, but you have to be charged to play World of Warcraft.
Ah, I see what you're doing. Okay. I mean, fair. Trevor said, I played the game, the MMO, not the others, but never watched the movie. Yeah, I played the MMO. I didn't play the others either. So, did you guys know in 2003 Van Damme had begun work on a sequel to this movie called Street Fighter 2?
Yeah.
So Ryu and Ken, the actors, were set to return in more central roles, mirroring that of the video games, while new cast members would have included Holly Valance as Cammy, replacing Kylie Minogue, and Dolph Lundgren in an undisclosed role. Project never materialized and was canceled in favor of Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li when the Street Fighter film rights reverted from Universal to 20th Century Fox. So we could have had more from this series. And Dolph, Man, we could have had Dolph.
Oh man, and more Jean-Claude Van Damme on
Right.
top of it.
Those two facing off.
Stealth
Again?
airplanes.
Again, yeah, it's true. Batman says she's from Neighbors as well. Holly Valance, if that's how you say it. But yes, there could have been more. But for now, there isn't. And pretty much, this is concluding our review. Unless you guys have any more to say, like I don't have much else to add. It's a watch the film, don't buy it.
Oh, this is up there for, like I said, like what we talked about. If you go in expecting it to be anything like the video game, you'll be disappointed. It's a 90s action movie where if you've played the video games, it's kind of cool with the name drops, and that's about it.
There's brief moments of fun. If you have nothing else going on, you've literally watched everything you could watch. You've done everything you could do. And you're not being forced to do a podcast on this movie. Check it
I don't know
out.
if you could say I was forced. I think I did it willingly.
We've done this willingly. This is definitely a passion project for all of us. For me, it's the hunt to find the worst. Like, that's my mission now. I am going to watch every video game movie and talk about it because I want to find the worst one and label that as being the worst.
Right along with you.
So that is my new mission. However long this takes, I don't care. It is a mission that I fully accept and am excited to continue on this journey with you guys. So, will we get there ever? I don't know. The thing that sucks, though, with that mindset is there are movies that I want you guys to see if you haven't, like Sonic. Because the Sonic movie is actually really good. So we could watch it and review it, but I don't think I'm going to be that negative.
Maybe if you throw it in the poll, people will be nice and vote for it so we can watch it.
Maybe the next one. I like our picks for this one. We'll see, though. But for now, this has been the rDNA podcast. The R for real. R-E-E-L, because we keep it real. Sticking with this tagline because it's the only one I got right now. So, deal with it. Real with it. Let's see, I created a new one. Boo. But honestly, thank you guys for listening, watching, however you absorbed this content, whether it's live here with us right now. For the raid, Foxy, Roxy, thank you. Give them a follow. Glad to have them a part of what we do here. And of course, everyone that chatted in during the show, thank you so much for tuning in during our live recordings of these. You can always do that. We're live on twitch.tv/doseofnerdacumen pretty much almost every night of the week, finding various content like the NOW podcast, which is the Nerds of Wrestling. If you like wrestling, check them out. Cody and Trevor host that show, and they talk about everything in the world of wrestling. Cody also streams games on the channel, so if you want to check him out, turn on those alerts to see when he goes live. We also have stuff like this. We have a movie podcast, which we're doing. We have a music podcast, which is coming up next week. We're going to be talking about the upcoming or now released album by 21 Pilots. So if you're a fan of them, or if you're not, and you want to hear what we have to say, tune in for that episode next week. We also have the Dosage podcast, which lately we've been talking about the years in gaming. The last two episodes was the year 2000, and then the previous one was the year 2001 in gaming. So it's quite obvious our next one is 2002. So that'll be coming soon. Also coming soon is E3 is returning in June. For those that don't know, E3 is the Electronic Entertainment Expo where they announce a bunch of things. Like video games.
Woo! Woo!
We're going to be talking about everyone's press conferences. Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, EA, and so many others. What new stuff will we get? What stuff are we excited about? What stuff are we going to hate? Who knows? That's coming in June. Tune in for that one. We'll be doing a wrap-up. It's not going to be a live react. It'll be a wrap-up of the few days that E3 is this year. Because I think it's still digital. They may have started selling tickets. I don't know yet. Because things are opening now. So that's exciting. The world's getting back to a new normal. PS6.
Lots of, speculations.
A lot of speculations. Name drop. How you doing? The PS6 will be released before the PS5 is available, says Batman. It might be. Also, tomorrow night, tune in on the Twitch channel here. I'm going to be hopefully wrapping up Resident Evil Village. I'm excited to finish that story up. It's been a fun experience so far. If you've missed any episodes, we archive those on our YouTube channel, Dose of Nerd Acumen. Sub for free. Like, comment, share. Tell your friends. But there is a playlist on there. The first 4 episodes are now available if you want to catch up before I possibly wrap the game tomorrow. So check that out. Thursday is the pay-per-view episode of the NAW show, which is Nerd Acumen Wrestling, competitive league of wrestling on 2K19. This one is being brought to you by DKA. So shout out for DKA being the top donator of April 2021 to make this show possible. What? So tune in for that on Thursday. And then always any pop-up streams, turn on those alerts. You'll find us. This weekend in the States is Memorial Day weekend, so I don't know what everyone's doing. What are you guys doing?
Working.
Man, you know.
Yeah, I was given a shift on Monday night, so.
Oh, really? That's terrible. Do you get like bonus or holiday pay?
I do. I get paid time and a half for it, and because I signed up, we call them a flex shift. So if they didn't need help, I'd get an extra $50 either way.
Nice.
And it turns out this one they actually needed help, so.
Oh.
So I got a 4-hour shift on Monday night, which I'll get paid time and a half for while I'm working.
Not bad. Was that 6
On
hours
top
then?
of already getting paid for a full, on top of getting paid for a full 8 hours because it's a holiday.
Not
for
bad.
not doing anything.
Not bad. So you're working too then, Herman? Nothing, no going out in the boat?
No.
No?
No out in the boat.
You guys know how to have fun. Street Fighter the movie, working.
Can you live stream a barbecue, and then we'll watch you live stream a barbecue?
If I had better service at camp, I would do that. But, like, I can't even get my email to load within 5 minutes. So.
That's a perfect place for you then, I think.
Is it?
I thought there was like one spot in the campground where you get service.
There is, kinda. But, like, no. It's not great. So I just load up my iPad full of downloaded stuff from Peacock, because you can download with a $10 subscription, to your device. I know, right there. That's where we need it. It caps you at 25 downloads, though, on your device at a time, which is kind of annoying.
Get that going, Trev. Like, we can plug stuff.
NBC? Yeah, they're listening to this right now. All those 11 executives in our viewership right now, they're from NBC. That is a thing. So, but yeah, that is what I'm doing. I'll be with my family, relaxing, not catching up, but rewatching old wrestling, just because that's what I do in my free time, when I have free time. So.
What's free time?
Yeah, it's time that doesn't cost. But other than that, if you want to stay connected with us, we do have a Discord. If you're in chat right now, you don't know what it is, ! Discord. Click on that link, join our Discord, stay a part of the conversation anytime, all the time. Stay connected with us. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, really any social media. If you want to follow us, see our content, we're on all the platforms for the most part, all the major ones. We have some sort of content. So if you want to learn more, check us out. But that's about it. I want to thank iRob for your spinning boxes of signal. I don't know what happened to your video today, but we got audio, and honestly, that's the most important part. So
I don't know. I can see you guys.
Well, I'm glad you can see us, but we can't see your beautiful mug. But we did get Vega. I mean, Herman. I mean, Wicked. I mean, that guy.
Let's be honest, not being able to see my face might have helped get more viewers in, so.
I think views were up.
That might have been the problem.
I kid. But in all seriousness, I think they were slightly up. But as always, thank you both for being on this journey. This is fun. I can't wait to watch more good and really, really bad movies and talk about them with you guys. And then, Yeah, it gives and my wife would probably be happy too, because it gives purpose to this collection of films that I have that everyone judges me because some of them still have the plastic wrap on. Because they're like, well, why did you need to buy
It's a
it?
collector's edition then to save them.
Is Street Fighter the movie a collector's item?
To somebody. I mean,
I guess. I mean, my Super Mario movie was still in the wrap, so I watched that digitally because I didn't want to open it.
And here we are 30 years later watching it. So, you know.
Truth. But let us digress until we carry on forever. Which,
Thanks,
hey,
friends.
that's what we do. But as always, thank
I'm
you
waving.
both.
You can't see me,
we
but
can't.
I'm waving.
Thank you both
Bye.
for joining. Thank you, listeners. Thank you again, Foxy, for the raid. Thank you, Cody, for the jump scare moment. I'm sure that's a clip now somewhere of me jumping. So if you could find that on Twitch, maybe I'll share that out.
If nobody's done it yet, somebody has to. We need to get that.
Yeah, that scared me.
Not try it again tomorrow.
You could, too. The thing is, too, I set them up. I should have known better. I should have known better. But here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this has been the rDNA podcast. Thank you for listening. Of course, like, follow, subscribe, share. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell everybody. Tell grandma. Tell dad, because it's almost Father's Day. This would be a great present. What's that you say? Oh, yes, subscribing to DNA's podcast. That is a great gift for Father's Day. Maybe. But anyways, thank you all, and good night.